Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And for those who are joining us live on a different time zone, good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. And for my guest, of course, I have like one who's coming from his morning, and two of them also in the same time zone. So, for those who are new in this platform or have seen me for the first time, I'm Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited or CTS, and we brand ourselves as the Asia's most trusted customized solutions partner. We are registered as an event services company in Singapore, organizing corporate trainings, summits, conferences to help leaders not only to generate profit but also create more cost savings and impact toward their business and their team. And today, most sustainable teams aren't just performing today, but they're preparing for tomorrow. Let's talk succession, growth, and future proofing. So today's session will be on future proofing your team, succession, growth, and continuity. And to have that conversation, I'll be inviting some of my distinguished panelists. Let's start with ladies first. Rita Tsui has over 25 years of HR experience as the regional human resource leader working for several multinational companies in Hong Kong and Singapore. Ms. Tui has played strategic HR role to create a positive business impact on the organization. She has achieved business success by exceeding the company expectations in talent acquisition, company merger and acquisition, talent development, staff learning and development, as well as employee relations. I'd also want to invite Javed here.
Right.
Hi, Javed. Uh, just to introduce Javed, he's a global experience. He has global experience spanning over 25 years in range of senior leadership roles with full service and low cost airlines, high volume airports, and large scale ground handling services. He delivers significant value by creating highly cost efficient and innovative operations, product, services with highly engaged and effective teams invested in growth. And today he's been leveraging a lot on technology like AI, right? And doing more of advisory and consulting. I also would like to invite, last but not the least, um, Rajesh.
Hey,
Rajesh,
everybody.
hi. He's the co founder and director at ACES Innovation, a knowledge management consultancy that partners organization in their journey to being future ready. He is an associate faculty at Nanyang Technology University teaching knowledge management strategy and information management at the Singapore University of Social Science. After retiring from the Navy as a commanding officer, he has ventured into consultancy in the field of strategy, focusing on the areas of leadership development, knowledge, and performance management, including organizational learning and staff development. So, would anyone like to add anything from the introduction?
No,
No,
you've
thank
covered
you
it
for
all.
having us, Marilyn.
Yeah, perfect introduction. Nothing to add. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you, thank you. And again, it's my pleasure to have all of you here. And this would mean also like coming from different perspectives. And if you are joining us live today, feel free to share with us any of your questions, take away from this. Although, of course, if you manage to watch this only on a replay, feel free to share with us and tag whom you'd like to address your questions to. So, to start with, I would like to address my question to Javed first. So, what does a future ready leadership pipeline look like today?
Well, thanks for certainly for having me on and being able to engage with my fellow speakers here as well, and obviously your audience. Firstly, Marilyn, and it's great to see you continue to grow as well yourself. So, continuous luck for the business. For me, it's actually in the word pipeline. It needs to have. You need to have not just one, but a continuous line of hungry prepared, trained, challenged individuals that want to be part of the future success and are part of creating the future vision and obviously the delivery and the performance. And that comes from having programs and projects and initiatives that involve those that have not yet delivered those. So young new starters, new joiners to your organization, and they don't necessarily have to be young in age, but they have to have new experiences through those projects and initiatives. So your tasks, your activities, your day-to-day role of delivering whatever your product is, whatever your service is, needs to involve people that haven't delivered those services and products before, not tried and trusted individuals on their own only. Bring in new fresh blood, give them opportunities, take risks, and then let them grow through live experiences is one. The second is to test and try new technologies and immerse yourself in some of the new platforms and the new solutions, whether they be the AI based ones that are at the cutting edge, or whether they be just software applications, programs, technologies that you give access to, and allow people to try, but also allow people to fail. And
Mm.
through that, you'll get people that are hungry to grow and learn, and they become your future pipeline.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And again, I really appreciate that you started with people or leaders who are actually not only there, but they're hungry. Yeah, they're hungry to actually create results, to create outcomes for the organization. As you've mentioned, they have to be trained, they have to be challenged as well for
Right,
future success. And it's not really like so much just the people, but also like making sure they're trained for the position. They're allowed to make mistakes as well. I love that. That's psychological safety, right? and
Mhm.
and also of course, leveraging and technology. We have a lot of things that we can automate and leverage in right now, AI, right, to make our like things more productive, right?
yeah.
So
Just one more to add to that. Something that
mhm.
you just said that reminded me of something that I was told some time ago. And it is also, it's not just, and I think Rajesh will really understand this, particularly if you're coming from the military, um, is that good procedures, good processes are also critical to establishing good habits that then should be automated where then is a need and a relevance and a value for automation. But otherwise, it's training people by making sure that you write good procedures and good processes and teach those processes that become habits. Because then when you want to automate them, people already understand how they should work and they're looking for what the technology can add value to that manual process or to that people process. So good procedures, processes, and a discipline in training those, because technology will also fail. People can then go back to basics as well, but they know it from good procedures. Just
I
something
think
I wanted to add in there.
I think Javed, you brought a very interesting point, and it's very important. It's that concept of keeping human in the loop. So I think many times people forget, and especially current leaders sometimes, they have the impression that technology can come in and replace the people.
Right,
And I'm sure Rita will feel for this because being in HR as well, right? So the aim of the AI is not to replace the person, and a lot of people were living in that fear many years ago. The aim of the AI is to free up that person so that
right,
he or she can now value add. And you hit it spot on, Javed, when you said in order for that person to value add, he first needs to know everything, because the machine is trying to learn, but it's going to be as good as monkey see monkey do, because garbage
right,
in garbage out. So whatever you feed in, and if that's not accurate, that's not right, right? And that's not based on the assumptions that the human has experienced in his 15, 20 years of working, then the
right.
machine is going to just regurgitate whatever went wrong all over again. So getting to know the procedures right, getting things doctrinated, um, and following it word for word with that flexibility of keeping human in the loop, to make that adjustments, bring in the emotional intelligence, bring
Right.
in that adaptive leadership skills. I think that's where the future of leadership and trying to ensure that we have a pipeline comes in.
Thank you. Thank
Great.
you. And again, we can't highlight enough how important it is to be able to cover all of these people, processes, as well as technology. And I would like to move to Rita to my next questions, which is how can leaders identify and develop high potential talent early, especially in fast moving environment, right? Javed mentioned earlier how it has to be a pipeline, not just a single person, but a pipeline of hungry leaders, right? And so, how do we do that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think when it comes to an organization, right, if they need to identify high flyers, right, for succession planning, basically they will look at the ability of the person and the performance of the person, right, and also whether they have the potential to be grown further. And this is something that every company will be working on. And another thing is about the agility side, right? Especially in this fast moving environment, we need to ensure that the sort of the future leaders are agile, they are resilient enough, and at the same time they are also a sort of the life learner. For me, they need to learn at all times in order for that to keep them to be agile and also and resolve problem at any time. And lastly would be the aspirations, meaning that they really want to be groomed, to be nurtured. I can share with you a story on that. Many years ago, when I joined the company, and at that time, the company actually was working on the sort of the high pro development program. At the time that I joined the company, they are already at the stage that, oh, the head office in Germany has already given approval to go ahead with this program, and they already gave a green light to those who have identified in the program. So my job actually was to implement the program, right? First and foremost, I need to inform those who have been approved to take part in the program. And you know what? And when I approached each one of them, they said that what this program is about. I didn't know that I was in this program. So I just thought that, wow, your name was in it, but nobody has ever talked to you about this program. So I just thought, oh, then at that time, you know what did I do? I just thought, oh, even the office, the head office has said, okay, and you now, the local office people didn't know anything about the program. So I have to told them, oh, this is it. I have to convince them to be in this program. So some of them said okay, but some of them said no. I don't want to be developed as a leader. So some just turn down the sort of the opportunity, and in the end they did not take part. So you can see that it's very important that I think again it's the communication issue, and then the department has never communicated with the candidates that are sort of the potential candidates that they are the one to be developed. And so actually is I think it's very common in organizations. Just like I am now having a survey with the HR leaders in Hong Kong on their top challenges. And then this survey, when you talk about the human touch, right? I conduct this survey in a very special way. I did not send out the form to them. Instead, I call them, I phone them, because I want to have this kind of human touch. This kind of human touch will never be replaced by AI. And I know that this is something as a human that we can do it. That's why I called them up, and then they said, oh, Rita, yes, yes, yes. And some of them just share with me that, you know what, our manager is just too nice. They want to be nice people. Even if the staff are not performing well, at the time of the performance review, they will never say anything to them. But when it comes to the stage that they cannot tolerate it anymore, they just ask the HR person, hey, fire them, fire them. Then, from the HR perspective, we cannot just do it, right? Fire the person without letting them know what's wrong with them, and not to mention giving them the opportunity. But it happens in organizations. So a lot of these kinds of things happened. And so communication is very important. But I think first and foremost, we need to inject the sort of the train to get the managers to have the right mindset on what's the role of a manager. If they find that the employees are not performing, just tell them, give the opportunity to rectify the situation, but not simply tolerate. So at the point that they cannot tolerate anymore, they just send it to HR and have the HR to fire them. I think it's very typical and natural in the Asia world. This is what I've seen, and also I just had a very interesting conversation with the HR head, and she just told me the same thing. So I just thought, oh, maybe it's good for me to share it here. So basically, in short, I think the person, the potential person, has to be capable and also willing to take part, and also he has to be agile and also resilient, no matter especially in times of uncertainty. Yeah, this is what I've shared. At the times that we identify the people, of course, we can use some tools, right? Like we have this 9 box talent grid, right? On the horizontal side, you can see their performance, and then on the y-axis, we can see the potential. So basically, a lot of companies use these 9 quadrants to identify high pro. And of course, we can also use other tools such as 360-degree feedback and so on. So these are the tools that we will be using to identify potential candidates. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Again, like what you've said, it's all about like looking at their performance potential, ensuring that they're agile, they know how to solve problems, continuous learners, and also have the aspiration, right, to move forward. And
Yeah.
again, I really appreciate the story because that, that you've shared as well, like, because that's the same conversation I had with another session on multi-generational workforce, especially focusing on Gen Z. Like a lot of them, they said like, oh, the problem is that they don't want to be a leader anymore. They prefer to be individual contributors, and I guess it's not really so much of that they don't want as based on their generation, but I guess it's really so much on the lack of communication, like what you've shared.
Yes.
And not only that, probably the culture within the organization that makes
Yeah.
them like feel like, oh, I don't want to be like them or my
Yeah.
leaders, right? And
Just-
on top of the, preparing them to be ready to be handling the post or the next level, as we say, right? So thank you for that reminder. And again, performance is not really about like waiting for once a year performance
Mhm.
review, but it's really like communicating on a
Mhm.
regular basis, like how they can improve, and how are they, doing well, and what else could be done, right? So it will not be, as you've mentioned, it's not too late that you have to fire them. And again, it's also a reminder for everyone that, succession planning or having that conversation with leaders and future leaders is HR responsibility, but rather it's our responsibility as a leader to
True.
also to train, to communicate, and to do all of these. Succession planning is everyone's responsibility in general, right? So having said that, how do we handle succession planning in roles where turnover in high or our skills are rapidly evolving, right? Especially right now, a lot of the skills or roles has evolved. So I would like to get the perspective from Javed and Rajesh. Who wants to go first?
Please, Rajesh.
Oh, thank you. I think I like how Rita said it. She was put in a situation where it was chaos, right? And she had to, they put her into a situation, fire this person. I think that is one situation that none of us wants to be. If you're running a department, you don't want to be scrambling to find out, oh gosh, this person is leaving. What do I have to do next? Who am I going to put through next? There's a concept that was taught to me by another Rita, Dr. Rita, actually. And this was a concept called grow and let go. And in leadership development, this meant that whichever staff that came to you or peers, your job was simple. Your job was to grow them, to nurture, to mentor, to coach, and then prepare to let go them. So it was a very parenting model. It's like you're bringing up your kids, and then You teach them the hard knocks of life, and then at a certain stage, you have to let them go, right? So her concept, as she taught to us, was she said, in every organization, it's almost triangular. There's only going to be one manager. You might have four assistant managers, right? Not many of them would be happy just being assistant manager till that one manager knocks off, or he gets or she gets promoted, right? So the reality of things, this, right? It's very much like the military as well. We have a hierarchy of things, right? So the task of the leader is to grow that person, right? And when that person comes to you and say, "Hey, I got a job in another company and they are promoting me for manager," that's when you feel happy that you have succeeded. It might be the best person, but you are setting that person right, right? You are confident that what you have done is you have invested enough of time and effort to let that person be successful in the next stage. And that should be how we measure success. Yeah. So coming back to succession planning now. Now that was looking at a leadership role, looking outwards with his staff. Now what then can that leader do for his or hers, right, own department? So one thing that I did when I was managing some of these challenging times was actually not map who the person is or tag that role to what the task is, but I start mapping what are my critical roles, what are the core competencies and the impact areas that is required to run this department. And then what we do is from there we start to make sure that we train based on these development pathways, right? So it doesn't matter if you are a assistant or a junior assistant or you just joined yesterday. We will train you based on these pathways for these core competencies that will make you make you contribute to this department. So this comes to that theory of which is going almost to the next question, but it comes to the theory where knowledge is not hoarded, right? It doesn't remain in one person, and therefore this person can take leave because the other person can still. You don't become dispensable. Oh, wait, you are dispensable, right? You're not, nobody's indispensable. That's the word, right? Nobody's indispensable. So for me, succession planning, I went on a modular learning track, right? We go by modules, not so much by appointment, right? And um, we start grooming them into their competencies based on what is required for the department. That's how we kind of managed succession planning um, when we had a story as well. We had one really, really good young lady who got poached by one of the big four. So when she came to me and she said, Raj, big four with the letter D is just offered me something. And I said, go. Don't look back. Go. We are just a small outfit. You're going to a big four, man. Go. Right? That was my story. But I was sad that she left. But she's doing well where she is. So happy for her. All right. That's what I have to share.
I would like to add on a little bit on that. I love this Dr. Rita's quote, right? Grow and let go. I remember the saying from Richard Branson, I think the president of Virginia Airline, right? Okay, a very famous guy here. He has ever said that train your people so well that they can go, but
Hmm.
treat them so well that they don't want to go.
Yep.
I think that's very true, right? A lot of companies a lot of bosses will think, oh, I've spent so much money on training these people. They are so good. They will go. They will be poached by a lot of companies. But if you do that, if you treat them very well, they will not. They may not go, right? So I think it's also very true that it depends on how the company uh, treat their employees. How do the employee feel about the company? Whether they will have sufficient opportunities for them, or also they are also put in the high pro talent program so that they can groom them. They can be groomed, and also they will be nurtured by the company. So it really depends. So, but of course there are some cases whereby we do have employees who were in this program. In the end, they left. But
Hmm.
yeah, but we do have some tips that we can really keep these people. So maybe I'll share in the latest later in this webinar. Yeah.
Yeah, Javed, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll touch on both points. I mean, I just started it with that exactly what I was thinking. For me, most of my successes in the last 30 years of people have come from people that have left me, right? they've not stayed with me. They've left and gone elsewhere to greater, larger, wider roles. And they've then helped me when I've needed help back with either talent in my organization, or when I've needed an answer and they're in a new organization and that organization has got an answer for me. But they've remembered what I've done for them and how we work together. So most of my success stories are people that have grown away and have fled, they've fled the house and they've great successes. So number one, and I was reading just as Rajesh was commenting, the title of Succession Growth, first parts of it. If we don't look at succession as a process inside the company, but of that person, if we look at growth of that person, not just within the company, then you look at individuals, you look at human beings, and if they were your own children, your own siblings, you don't care where they go, you care that they're successful, right? And I think that's what leaders first have to focus. We are in a shrinking people world from a workforce point of view. We've got less people working with us because of technology to a point, but those that are there need to be grown around the world. They need to be grown globally. They need to be grown nationally. And so if we have that in mind, you put the effort into not the succession in the company, but the succession of that person through their life. For me, that's what I would look at. I don't think companies need to be looking any longer. And to your earlier point of the young, different generations, I think you have to recognize that they don't necessarily want a career long term. They don't want 15, 20, 30, even 5 years in a role anymore. They want to feel valued and they want value add. And so how do you do that? And the companies have to accept that we're not going to have long serving staff. And there are companies that are very happy about that. Ryanair is a good example. They accept an EasyJet in the Europe, the two low-cost carriers of Europe, two of the most successful. EasyJet actively say, we're not here to make a long-term career for you. We don't want you to be with us long-term, because they know they're going to be a feeder to full-service carrier airlines and international airlines. And so their culture is one of do things well to the procedures as we teach them properly, do them safely, do them repeatedly, and then go and leave us. We're not investing in you to be with us for 30 years. If you stay, fine. But actually, we're not investing in you. And they make that statement from day one. So the person knows that this is a training step, a ladder in my flying career. I'm not going to be with this company long. And so there's a different, there's a focus, but the loyalties to compliance and conformance and delivery, not to longevity. Right? And then you'll have other companies, General Electric, that are, GE are famous for 30, 40, 50 years serving staff. Singapore Airlines is a great example of longevity, of great success around the world of Singaporean aviation people. I'm speaking from the aviation perspective here only. So I just think it's about treating the human beings, people as part of your family, and seeing their success as your success. And then that success will come back to you as a network of available people.
I love that perspective. And it's very interesting nowadays, Javed, as you mentioned it. Like nowadays, people or organizations are not really looking at, you staying in the company for the longest time, 5 to 30 years. Last time they question you when you only stay in the company for just a year or two. I'm kind of like that. I only stay in the company for 2 years or so. If I feel like I'm not learning anymore, I'm not growing anymore, I would look for other opportunities to hone my skills and all. But previously, a lot of companies look that like, oh, this is bad. She cannot stay in this company, or and like they confuse loyalty to the number of years rather than the work that the person put in. It was unfortunate truth, like in a traditional way of thinking or leadership. But in reality, like, leadership is really, and I mean, loyalty is really not about how long have you been stayed in a company, but what are you putting into the company while you're there, or even if you left, right? So thank you so much for the story that you've shared. And speaking of, having people trained, staying in a company or leaving the company, so what role does cross training and knowledge management play in business continuity, Rajesh?
I think it's a very nice flow that we are having with how Javed is saying that, you know, right, and the example of Ryanair where he said it's only for 5 years. I never knew that, right? But it's so relevant to the flow of this conversation, because in some organizations they still have that over reliance on one person, and this is that one person who holds all that critical knowledge. It's very old school, you know. If we remember, it used to be like, at least when I was first joining my workforce 30 years ago, and I was told that, the kung fu master will only teach you 80%, because if he teaches you 100%, you'll beat him up. So then you become the master and you teach 80% of 80%, and 80% of 80% goes down the road. And a couple of years later, that guy knows nuts. Right. And we have heard other stories as well, stories of the ashram cat. The fact that people don't ask why. So here is where cross training comes in. If we are all relying on that single person to hold the most critical knowledge, the most important know how, the know why within your organization, then, ladies and gentlemen, we have just built ourselves a single point of failure. And that's the truth, right? Now, while today's marriage of KM and technology aims for us to go towards the single point of truth, not the single point of failure, the single point of truth, where every data information fed in is made, is verified for its accuracy and is the truth. This is where cross training comes in. So cross training is no longer nice to have. Today it's a strategic necessity if organizations want to be resilient. So if and we've learned this from COVID, right? Resilience is so important for organizations to survive, because we need to build within our organization some form of rhythm. So the term that we use is operational rhythm or operational rigor, right? Where you are expected to share your knowledge, do a knowledge transfer. This could be done whether it's in your quarterly sessions, your monthly sessions, simple things in the office where people who are not trained in KM, or people who are not used to the terminology, may think that yes, we do this, but this is not KM. Things like lunch and learn, things like after action reviews, right? Now, it is very interesting that sometimes the KM consultants themselves make things sound so difficult when it is not, right? I mean, I learned about knowledge management from my 3-year-old daughter when she burnt her hand, right? And she did a knowledge transfer 2 years later when she was telling her younger brother, don't touch this, it's painful. That is knowledge management, and that is knowledge transfer. So, like I was telling Javed, yes, there is a lot of science, sir, but it's not rocket science, and it's practice from the day that we were born. So, cross training here now means understanding what the next department wants. What is it that they are looking from me, from my department, and how can we support each other? When we know how we can contribute to the next department, or the department who has some needs from us, and we can give value, then every that synergy between all the other departments and all your peers is going to improve. Relationships are going to improve. Trust is going to be improved. And you know what? You will reach that stage that Rita said. You'll be so comfortable that your staff don't want to leave. Yeah. I mean, I hope the money is good as well, Rita. But that's what I
Mm.
feel. Cross training is going to bring. So we can use simple lightweight KM skills, lunch and learn. You can have a wiki, you can have playbooks, you can do your onboarding training, right? All these little things help you in doing cross training. And like I said earlier, it is no longer nice to have. It is critical for organizational resilience. That's what I have, Marilyn.
Thank you for that. And again, what I really like about what you've shared is really being able to leverage on knowledge and technology, and combining them, right? To ensure that there will be resilience as well, not just in operationals, but in the business resilience, right? So I appreciate that. And so I would like to ask then next, Rita, on what advice would you give to leaders who feel they have no clear successor or bench strength? Because like that's one thing, right? Preparing with our people, process, technology, but like what if you don't even have like people who are actually next in line?
Then my question for the management is that why would it happen? Is it the company policy they don't need any succession planning? Then why would they sudden that they need it? I wanted to know what's the current situation, right? Without understanding what's the situation, what's the mindset of the boss, we will never able to do it well. So I need to understand what's the reason behind. Okay, is it because resources? Or the boss doesn't think that there's such a requirement for that. Wherever they need MP people, they just hire from the market. Okay. So after understanding it, then the boss said, oh no, now we need to have a succession planning because we need to sustain our business. Then we know that, okay, then the boss will need to have resources available, right, to make it happen. So without the management support, we can't do anything. So assuming that the boss is okay, the management is in support of this succession plan, then we start to start with this with the whole plan, right? And by identifying the people with the methods I just mentioned earlier, and also to come up with an individualized plan. I think while we identify the people, right? As I mentioned, we need to make sure that people actually agrees to join the plan, right? Otherwise, it repeats what I mentioned in my previous company that they didn't know what the program is about. Why was I in the program? In the end, they said no. Okay, so the plan itself, right? It has to be highly individualized, and then we need to know about the aspiration, their goal, and is to go in line with the companies. And also I think in terms of training, we also I would suggest adopt 70-20-10, meaning 70 is more about on-job training, as Regit mentioned about cross-functional training. I think is very important for them to have a holistic understanding of the operations of each department. And then 20 is more about coaching, mentoring, or even stretch assignments. And 10 is more about formal training. But one thing I think is very, very important, which is also a tips to really keep these people, is to have constant dialogue with them, to have immediate feedback with them so that we know what's on their mind. I think this is very important. And when we come up with the plan, right, the plan could be their career plan of 2 years, 3 years, or even 5 years. So we need to discuss with them so that so that they are in line. We are still in line with the plan. I think this is very important. Let me carry on with the story of my previous company. When I first joined the company, they did not know it. And the end, after much persuasion, then some of them joined the company. But the retention rate, I could tell you, only 50%, 50. Okay, that is our first round of the program. Then after that, I was the one who really take part in the second round, and I know what had happened in the first round. So I interviewed. Actually, the department head were advised to provide with the names of the sort of the potential candidates, and then we interview one by one, asking them why would you be interested in this program. And this interview served to be very important. And also, we also asked them to take some of the assessment tools, making sure that they have the potential, the right attitude and caliber to join this program. And you know what? And the result of this program is the retention rate is 100%. Of course, we have this constant dialogue, follow-up, and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is that, firstly, select the right people with the right aspiration is important. Follow through, so that they are really in line with what the company plan is. And in the end, all of them, in the end, they got very good promotions, and now and then they were the manager of the department or the manager of the business unit in the end. So I think for me it's successful, and they keep on working for the company for some years. So of course we cannot ask them to work for the company till they retire. But at least I think from ROI we are able to come very good ROI that the company put in the resources can really be well spent on these people, and in the end these people were able to contribute back to the company. Yeah.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
So I just want to add something that Rita sort of triggered for me, which was there's also a conflicting, and something that's come across many times with myself, a conflicting environment for succession, which is set by HR, and what that is you have a one grade jump process or policy often in many companies that only allows to reward somebody's progression by one grade. Okay. And yet the person you want, if that was my deputy, he or she may not be the ideal candidate. It might be 2 or 3 levels down that the person that has got the potential is, but you can't offer them any promotion because they only get 1 grade promotion as per the HR policy. And so what happens is that person gets disenchanted, dismotivated. They're doing a greater job, a bigger role, and you lose them. And I've seen this happen many times, particularly in South Asia, Asia Pacific region, particularly where these policies are prevalent. And I think that also is a risk to when you just then say are unable to recognize through the right comp and bend that the right person is not necessarily going to fit the HR policy for reward. And if you don't address that, you lose talent. You lose the people that want to be part of the succession program. And that's when they don't put their name forward because they know they're not going to get recognized to that grade and that position that they should be in. And that's something that I've constantly challenged, gone to fight with, almost with leadership on this is not acceptable, because we then would recruit from outside and bring somebody in at that comp and bend, and that sends the wrong messages to the people that stay in the organization. And so that's another area that I think needs to be addressed.
Very true, very true. I totally agree with you that I think as an HR, right, we need to be the business partner of the company, but not an administrator, just sticking to the company policy and procedures. We really have to look from the company perspective that if we don't make some special adjustment for this person, we'll lose this person. I think in the end, the company will lose out this person to the market. Is this something that the company wanted to see? If it's not the case, then we need to do some adjustment. So I think nowadays HR people have to be agile. They have to have the business mindset, and also have to be strategic partner in order to perform their role better. Yeah.
And I think with that is also to your point earlier, the true cost and return of investment needs to be understood in the scheme of this person's knowledge bank, their time with the company, getting relationships formed. And so there's a value of having that person versus a new person coming in with the right skills and maybe the right attitude at the top, but they're going to cost you higher. And the effect of that hire to the rest of the workforce for the rest of the futures, because what message does that send, right? I've never seen to date yet a really great financial case built for that situation by HR with me. I've been able to articulate it as to the value of the loss, but not really the true value of the employee to the organization with those calculations made. I'd love to see somebody give that sort of template for something like that.
Yeah, very true. If they bring up a new person, right, according to a lot of research, it takes them 10 months, 10 months to get the new people to be sort of at par with the person who left the position. So I think this is training cost, which we are not able to monetize it, right? But again, it's a kind of cost to the company. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for adding that up, because I think it also the policies has to evolve. And again, that goes back to the earlier comment that it's not just the generational gap or whatnot, but it's also the culture, the policies within the organization, and how
Right.
do they map all of these all together, to ensure that this will ensure that there will be business value at the end of the day as well. So thank you so much for that. And we have exceeded our timing already. So I would like to invite all of you to share with our audience in one sentence, if you have a magic wand and can use it, what will you do with it, particularly around our theme on succession, growth, and continuity?
I'll
Who
say
would
grow.
like to go first? Yeah.
So my magic one word is growth. Grow.
Enjoyment in what the people do together.
Hmm.
Okay, my magic word is communication. A lot of things can be resolved if we talk.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, this group, when I ask them for one sentence, they give me just one word or one phrase, as compared to most of the people I interview. So I love it. Thank you so much for sharing with me all your magic wand, and I'm sure with the work that you all do, you're already like either exuding or implementing this in the work that you do. Again, growth for Rajesh, enjoyment of what the people do together from Javed, and communications for Rita. And we can't stress enough how important communication is. This so thank you so much again for your insights, for the tools, the strategies. I mean, in just 45 minutes, we managed to actually cover quite a lot of things on succession planning. Despite that, it's always more than that. uh, it's a big word, and it's really a challenge for quite a bit of organization as well. So thank you so much for the insights,
Pleasure.
as well for the strategies tools that you have shared, Rita, Javed, and Rajesh. And of course, we this event is actually a pre-event for our the Interconnected Summit, which if you have not heard or seen yet in our communications, that we have moved from supposedly August 30 of this year to February 26 and 27 of next year, to accommodate more people, and to for them to be able to budget it to their next cycle. So do join us in this valuable conversation to help you with to create more interconnected leaders, and also to help you with your business through leadership, through people, through process, through technology, and integrating all of these, right? So thank you so much, and see you in the next sessions. And if you do have any request on specific sessions, please let me know, put in the comment, and yeah, we look forward to adding value through this content. Thank you so much, Rita, Rajesh.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye bye.
Okay, have a good weekend. Bye bye.
Happy Friday and happy weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
See
Okay.
you
Bye bye.
again. Bye for now.